In this quick tutorial I'm going to show you how to make these handy pot holders. They're only made from a few circles of fabric. They're incredibly simple to make. Even a beginner sewer would be able to make these. And of course it means that you can coordinate with other things in your kitchen as well. And when you're not using them as pot holders, there's no reason why you can't hang them up and use them to store things in as well. So they're multi-purposeful as well. And here's how we make them. I've used 8-inch circles of fabric. You can make these in any size that you like. I found that 8 inches was perfect for my size of hand. You can make them a little smaller or a little bbigger if you like. Now I just used a side plate as a template. These don't have to be exactly 8 inches. So if yours is 7.5 or 8.5 or 8.25, it really doesn't matter as long as all of the circles are cut to the same size. So I have 2 pieces of my outer fabric and 2 pieces of my lining fabric, all cut to the same. I've got 2 pieces of thermal wadding. This is a Bosal one. You can use as many layers of these as you like. Now have a look at the manufacturer's instructions. Some will say to use 2 pieces. You only really need the 2 pieces on the inside, so on this bit, not on the bit that goes over your hand, because that's the bit that's going to be in contact with heat. So 1 on the top and 2 on the bottom if you prefer. I'm just going to use 1 layer for this one. And then just to make the handle, I've got a piece of fabric that measures 1.5 inches by 5 inches. You could make that longer if you wanted to. That's entirely up to you. So first of all, let's make the little strap. So we're simply going to fold the piece in half, fold the 2 long sides to the centre, and then we'll fold in half again. If that's not staying in place, then just use a little bit of best press or spray starch or maybe a little squirt of water, and that'll help it to be crisp, to stay in place. Let's put that to one side, and I'm just going to sew down one side here. Now you could use a piece of ribbon for this instead if you prefer, and whoops, and again you can make this any length that you like. This is just going to be a short loop. So we'll put that to one side for now, and let's take our circles. And I will need a ruler. So you don't need a ruler as big as this one, but I just need to measure 3 inches from the bottom of the circle. And I'm just going to put a little line across there. And then I can fold that over and crease across the line. Like so. Then I'll take my second circle and I'm going to draw around the curve here. And that's going to make the opening for your hand to go in. So I'm using one of the circles as a template to cut that shape out. So let's do that here. And then the same on this piece. And the same on one of the thermal pieces. Then I'm going to take a thermal piece and sandwich it in between these 2 pieces. In fact, it can go on the wrong side of this one. So if you have any adhesive spray, now would be a good time to use it. So just lost mine. So let's pop a little bit of this on here, and that's going to go like so. And that's just a 505 spray, so it's a temporary basting spray. And then this piece is going to go right side down over the top, and I'm just going to sew around this curve. So I'll pop a couple of pins in here just to hold that in place while I do it. So now we can take the pins out and take a sharp pair of scissors, and I'm just going to snip into the seam allowance, not through those stitches, which have to start again. And I'll bring the iron back up again, fold this over with the seam right on the edge. And let's give that a quick press. And then I'm just going to top stitch around the curve here. And let's take our remaining wadding piece, or pieces, depending on how many you're going to use, and I'm going to fuse this onto my wadding. Take your little tab of fabric, fold it in half, and this is just going to sit in the centre at the top here. So I'll just sew that in place right across the very edge within the seam allowance, just to hold it in place. We'll take the section that we've just sewn, place it right sides together so that that tab is sitting in the centre. You can measure and mark that if you wish. And again, a couple of nice long pins in here. And I'm just going to sew about 4 or 5 inches just around the bottom. And you'll take your remaining lining piece, and this is going to go face down over the top. This time I think I'll use a few clips to hold this together because the fabric's getting rather thick now. And then from the side that I've just sewn, so I can see the stitches that I've just sewn here, I'm going to sew from the end, just move those out of the way, all the way around and join back up with it here, but I'm not going to re-sew over that section there. I'm just coming up to the start of that seam, There, just reverse stitch, move those clips out of the way. And then I'm just going to trim around the edge, just to take some of the bulk out of the seam. Just make sure I've caught all of the fabric. So you could use pinking shears if you have them at this point. If not, just trim to about 1/8 of an inch, or maybe 2 or 3 millimeters away from the stitch line. Then find the opening. We can turn this the right side out now. And when you do turn it through, it'll still kind of be inside out. But that's where we want it, because we now need to sew the hole over, or the gap, the turning gap over at the bottom of the bag. So you can use a ladder stitch, you could use an over edge stitch, it doesn't really matter because this is going to be on the inside of the pocket and no one's going to see in here. So I'm just going to do a quick ladder stitch. If this is something that you're going to make and sell, or give as a gift, then make sure that your stitches are nice and small so they're close together, just in case anybody does look on the inside for whatever reason. But if this is for yourself, I wouldn't worry too much about your stitches being perfect. Just knot off the end of the thread, snip that off, whoops, and then we can turn the pocket through. Push out the shape of the circle, and give it a final press, and we're finished. So there is another little pouch finished, or an oven glove, or whatever you decide to call it, and however you decide to use it. So you can see how quick and how simple that actually is, and again you can make those in any size you like. So if you didn't want to make a larger one to store things in and hang them up, then of course you can do, the choice is yours. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and I shall see you again very, very soon. Bye bye.